we change the music now that the election's over? Can't we do something
Why?
new?
The music isn't electoral.
Maybe it's the music's fault. Live from your ESG crying towel. That's actually made by BlackRock. They actually have a ESG crying
they have a towel.
Yeah.
Oh, really? It's
a Business Pants Friday show here at November 8 Studios featuring AnalystHole Matt Moscardi and nobody else.
You seem very muted today.
I'm not. On today's weekly wrap-up,
There it is.
A former CEO beats a potential glass cliff CEO and a bunch of other depressing nonsense.
Oh, you just made it depressing with the first part. Other depressing.
Well,
nonsense.
it does kind of align with the world that we try to cover here day in and day out. Our show today is being sponsored by freeflowanalytics.com, the only platform measuring board power, connections, and performance for free. Still the only one. And the exciting news that I keep hearing from all of the other incredible people who work here is that we are behind the scenes. We are working on expanding the data available, right?
I'll tell you what, that is exciting. That is true. The level of data expansion that we are going through right now, there's code running right now. It'll be running for like 7 more days. We might have mapped every nonprofit board director to actual executives and board directors. And then we might be able to expand that into lobbying and all sorts of other records with knowledge. The amount of data that Freeflow Analytics has managed to sort of weave is pretty impressive. I have to hand it to them. Whoever they are, they're doing a good job.
So my guess is that for a lot of us, you're either taking two paths in your life. You're either going to quit your cushy, office job and actually try to make a difference somewhere, work with refugees, be a teacher, do something like that, or you're going to stick around. You're going to try to hold someone accountable. You're going to provide oversight. You're going to try to
Those both might be false.
All right, well, don't give up. All right, come on, can we just do this? I want this show over with.
There is some American bandstand music for you.
For the first time, this music makes sense to me. Luckily for Story of the Week, Matt, which is where I'm going to start the show off, I only have 2 stories.
Yeah, that's the best. Honestly, that's the best news of the week so far.
The first is just specifically a look at CEOs regarding the election that occurred this Tuesday here in America. Where
are we going to do like he who shall not be named? We're not going to say the name at all. I think we should.
You don't want to say the name? What am I replacing the name with then? Do we have a code name?
Volder Trump.
You just said it though. Well, okay. Well, these are kind of in no particular order, but I'm just throwing you some of the headlines to do with the CEO world after Trump's victory. So let's start off at the top. Trump's victory adds record $64 billion of wealth to the richest top 10. And I only point that out because, as we know, that top 10 is basically CEOs or former CEOs.
It's like 3 of the like top 10 are not CEOs, right? Aren't we talking about Musk and Zuck and like
Gates and it's all like
Gates and
CEO types? Yeah.
So congratulations, middle class, you won.
Yeah, you won. Stock market euphoric over Trump win. I wasn't paying attention to the headlines because I was that depressed, and I also had a very laborious civic duty to attend to this week. I didn't even know that the stock market it went up 1,500 points. What the? No one told me this.
It went up a lot. No one told you this.
Share surge increases Elon Musk's fortune by $26 billion in a day. Also, they're saying that Bezos, Sergey, Brin, and Bill Gates also benefit. How about this one? Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong, he's suddenly $2 billion richer.
Oh,
Tesla hits $1 trillion market cap.
Yeah, there it is.
Wall Street scores political. There's a lot of headlines basically outlining all of the industries and companies that should be happy now that Trump won, including the banks. They're saying the banks are euphoric.
Yeah, that's the banks.
How about this headline? Tech CEOs eagerly grovel at the feet of Trump. CEOs, including Satya Nadella and Sam Altman, are lining up to congratulate Donald Trump on his victory. Goldman Sachs CEO congratulates Trump. More of this, a lot of this. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know why you're not reading all the headlines that said like Midwest manufacturers congratulate Trump and people, teachers at schools in Pennsylvania congratulate Trump. Read those headlines now. Let's go over them.
So that's the first story, I guess, that CEOs are happy. I don't know. They're all on the phone congratulating each other. They're all richer. They just seem happy.
I mean, it's a good thing that they didn't endorse Kamala Harris. Otherwise, she might have, gotten a little bump, and people would have. Then they couldn't have been as happy. No one would have been so happy.
That's the first. The second one. There's just like a little wrinkle that no one really talks about, but I just want to talk about because I remain persistently angry at big tech, social media, especially. I'm constantly mad at big data CEOs who control their empires with fake dual shares. They don't actually own their companies,
babies, right? Man babies.
Yeah. But you alluded to this in our pre-production meeting, but just let this headline sink in a little bit. After Trump took the lead, election deniers went suddenly silent, right?
Yeah, baby. All right.
But where did they go silent?
They're only one place there are.
Right.
Just talking constantly on social media.
Right. I mean, this is the thing that irritates me probably the most out of all this. And there was another headline I saw basically that tech CEOs are going to have an easy time under Trump, just like they did under Biden. Like that was the other takeaway here is that nothing seems to affect this world of big data and social media CEOs, and they just keep getting stronger and more powerful. Elon Musk is the main sort of example of this, right?
I mean, yeah. But the worst part about this, worst part about this second one is that. Inevitably, they now can gaslight you and say, because we talked about it so much and we're so vigilant, that's why like it went so well on Tuesday.
Sure.
Not the fact that their guy won on Tuesday, and therefore now we can just stop talking about it because it's just about winning.
Yeah, because remember, there was absolutely no evidence to support the cheating.
That's right.
Last
In
time.
either case, there was no evidence.
And again, the bigger point here is that you are making these social media CEOs rich because you're having this inane, factless fight on their platforms, right? So anyway, that's
on platforms where they control what the fight is,
everything.
What is allowed. Like
they control their own oversight. Mark Zuckerberg created and pays his own oversight board. That's how much the joke is on us.
I mean, the joke has been on us for a long time because we spent 2 hours this morning debriefing and doing like pre-production, which is an inordinate amount of time for us. Usually we spend about 3 minutes.
Yeah, we don't like each other's company. Yeah.
But we spent a long time talking about how no one wants the nuance of discussing a board or who runs a company, who benefits from these things. It's much easier to just say economy bad. Yeah, milk expensive, gas expensive, immigrants coming, right? Like, it's much easier to do like these binaries.
Well,
distill those.
I don't know if you had the same in your area, but the only Trump signs I saw in the Portland, Maine area were exactly that. They said higher taxes, Kamala, lower tax. It was very binary, very simple, and it left out all of the nuance, of course, because
And when investors investors are like gloriously happy that the stock market rose, but no one wants, even investors don't want the new, it's a binary, right? Stock go up. That's it. It's up or down with the price of a security.
It's already been going up under Biden, but yes, I hear you.
There's literally no follow-up question with, well, who's actually benefiting the most here? Like, is it us with stock go up, or is it 7 man babies, or is it like who are running these companies? Who are our fiduciaries? All that nuance is out the window. So now we're back 4 years of binary, good, bad, manly, feminine, tough or weak. Like
At least I fully understand, Matt, why if CEOs are going to play this game of like hoarding wealth and the inequality of wealth is going to continue to grow day after day. Now at least I understand that little all other compensation part of their summary compensation table where it says they pay them like $10 million for security services. I guess I understand that now. Maybe they need to protect themselves.
So I'll front run one of my headlines from this week. The headline was CEOs are clamoring for bodyguards as the world feels more dangerous.
I didn't even see that. Okay, I didn't even.
That's literally a headline that came out.
I wonder
after
why
the election.
I wonder why it feels more dangerous to them. I wonder what the people don't have that they want.
I mean, it's like it is when your net worth goes up by $26 billion in one day.
Yeah.
And like there are people who literally like can't afford healthcare or food or it would feel unsafe. You would have to put someone in front of the $26 billion so that nobody can touch it, right? Like you're afraid.
Yeah.
Look, the story of the week is definitely the inequality gap, the rich get richer, because this election has been a referendum on a number of things, mostly the underperformance of men over the last 2 decades, the outperformance of women, I should say, which is to say getting degrees, getting jobs, getting better jobs, and not having men like pick up the slack because, women aren't home to like raise a child in the same way they were 50 years ago or 100 years ago. And then you've got the CEOs who are the real beneficiaries of all of this. They're the ones, like Trump is one of them, and they win. Not you.
Yeah.
Not guy with excavator in northern Pennsylvania. They win. They just won by a lot.
And you can throw out the nuance of this whole talk about the meritocracy, right? Because again, they were blaming Kamala for they were saying that Trump is tougher on crime, right? And Kamala likes criminals, and they're talking about a woman who was the first female. It doesn't even matter her gender. She was the DA in San Francisco. She was the attorney general of one of the biggest economies in the world in the state of California. She literally fought crime as part of her resume.
Her actual job.
So forget all this talk about the meritocracy. I mean,
look, going into the election, every single there were polls and surveys where people would ask like, is Kamala a tough leader? And people would say Trump is tougher than Kamala. But then they would say, can you trust Kamala or Trump? And it would be, you can trust Kamala more than Trump. And who's more qualified? It was Kamala's more qualified. When it came down to it, what the electorate thinks is a narrative, the beneficiaries of that narrative are very clearly designed to be like 7 white guys who run social media and tech companies and run like the industry.
That's is the reason why that Hillary failed and Kamala failed the exact same reason why we see the S&P 500 CEOs stagnating at 6%? Only 6% of S&P 500 CEOs are held by women. Is it the exact same problem?
I think
do we just inherently
problem.
Distrust women to lead everything? Is that it?
Look, the power gap data that Free Flow Analytics has suggests that is 100% the case, even in countries. And this is a study we did and we gave to the Danish Minister of Diversity, which is a thing. Of course, it's a thing in Denmark. even the study we did shows that even in countries where they set a mandate of like 40% women on the board, they have the largest power gaps, meaning the women on the board do not have roles. They have less equity. They have less tenure. They don't know the people in the room. They're outsiders on purpose. They consolidate power with executives, insiders, and long-tenured male directors. I don't know, like everywhere in the world, you can't escape it. Like that, this is the status quo is the status quo for a reason. So the status quo won here. This isn't a win for like upending something. This is a win for the absolute status quo. That's what it's a win for. So now that we're depressed, can we do Goodliest? Let's
Actually,
do something good.
I really shoveled a lot into my Goodliest this week just to make myself feel better.
Yeah, let's feel good. Let's feel good about something. Here we go.
Okay.
All right.
Do I get transition music, or should I just go
It's playing
at it?
now. It's playing now. So apparently Riverside died on you.
Climate initiatives fare well across the country despite national political climate. I mean, this is what's weird about a lot of this stuff, and it does speak to your point about an electorate who is unwilling to vote for a woman who clearly they trust more, because there still are causes that are considered liberal that are winning in states that aren't very liberal, like Louisiana. So in Louisiana, they overwhelmingly pass a constitutional amendment that requires any revenue received by the state from renewable energy production to be deposited into Louisiana's Coastal Protection Restoration Fund. A ballot measure in South Dakota aimed at easing the construction of carbon dioxide pipelines was rejected. In Hawaii, they created a climate resiliency fund. Same goes in California. They approved a $10 billion bond measure to boost climate resilience. And in the state of Washington, voters rejected a measure to overturn the state's signature climate law. So there still were some good news there.
It's a little bit of something. Yeah. And I mean, tack on to that, right?
Yeah.
The fact that most of the women's health and abortion measures to protect abortion rights passed,
except for,
of
course,
didn't.
Except for the horribly we talk about anti-democratic principles here in the corporate governance world.
Yeah.
And that same one exists in the state of Florida, where they needed 60% of voters to pass to get rid of this heinous abortion law. So that means that the minority won because 57% voted, right? I think it was 57% the last I saw.
That's a huge minority too. That's that's a big gap.
That is the same Mark Zuckerberg problem, though, but in a different,
it's supermajority vote,
right?
Baby. Like, if you think the alternative democracy isn't relevant, it exists everywhere. That's what that is. That's good. That's some goodish stuff.
Wait, I got some more.
Did we mention the fact that the Inflation Reduction Act and all the subsidies and the spending has gone to mostly red states that voted in Trump to build renewable energy and infrastructure. So they're benefiting the most from this. It should stand to reason that it keeps passing.
Well, there was a suggestion that the Democrats were hoping that the electorate would pay attention to jobs, like those jobs that you said, and that instead of prices, and I think that prices seem to have won. People were more angry at prices than they were about these jobs coming to their state.
It was easier to have no jobs and complain anyway. So
our other good news: workers in Missouri have passed. They've actually passed a minimum wage boost. It's currently at $12.30 an hour. It'll go up to $15 by the year 2026. That seems like a no-brainer, but again, it's a confusing electorate that supports the union busters, but votes for a wage.
It's not that far away.
No, it's not that far.
It's good for them.
How about this one? This is kind of some weird backdoor good news. Nissan is cutting 9,000 jobs. That's not good news.
That's not so good.
But the CEO and the executive committee members have already they're already reducing their pay.
Is there details in there or nuance we should know about?
What we do know about most non-U.S. pay packages is that it's not in the U.S. you generally get about $1 million in salary and $40 million in equity. That's not the case in other countries. It's certainly not in Asia. So when they are reducing their pay, they're really reducing their pay, right? I mean, that's really a thing.
Yeah, well, the thing that makes me skeptical of this is that the CEO of Nissan, Makoto Uchida, volunteered.
Yes, that's the part
right?
I knew you would focus on that.
Skeptical.
Yes. But the good news, to me at least, is that in the same headline, we're combining nuance. We're saying, look, we're firing people, but then our executives are taking some culpability here, like they're reducing their pay. I know that the bigger picture and the bigger story is much more complicated, but I just like that. I don't know. It's in the
Move
same.
on. This one stinks.
Okay. And finally, we do have to remind the listening audience here, if they're still alive, that there actually was a big win for stakeholders this week. Actually, I think it was Monday. Boeing strike ends after workers vote to accept life-changing wage increase. So,
wow.
They originally wanted a 40% increase, right? Management offered 25%. They held out, and the final agreement gets them to 38%. That's a big win.
Wow, that's a big win. They didn't get the pension though, right?
The initial ratification bonus, they initially were offered $3,000. They're ending up with $7,000 plus a $5,000 401k contribution. That's a pretty big win.
That's something.
And no, they didn't get there. They didn't get a rollback to the old pension system. But what they did get is that they originally offered a 75% company match on the first 8% of workers' contributions. What they're getting is a 100% company match on the first 8% of their contributions. So they're getting something. Yes, it wasn't a perfect plan. Only 59% of workers passed it. There was some booing in the audience when they announced the ratification because of this pension, but there's some big wins here. I mean, let's to be clear.
And let's just do a quick tally, right? We've had the UPS, we had hospital workers, we've had Boeing, we've had what were the other one? There were like
fast food workers in California,
There's
right?
Fast food workers. This is the most union wins. When I was canvassing, I talked to a lot of union people, and they were like, we don't like some of the things Biden has been doing, and I had to say, under Biden, having nothing to do with Biden, but under Biden, you've had the most union wins in the last 50 years.
I don't know if that has nothing to do with Biden. He's probably the most pro-union president we've seen in our lifetime.
Well, you can't go. It's never one-to-one, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's never works like that. So I tried not to interject nuance, but did accidentally.
Again, it does prove that our American electorate is incredibly sexist because again, Biden wins, right? And there are a lot of benefits to union voters because of his win, some of which you just pointed out. His vice president that he chose runs again basically on the same ticket, and she loses by a lot. And let's not forget that he won by a lot. So nothing has really changed other than the gender. That's about it. So those same union voters basically rejected her and went for Trump for no reason, for absolutely no reason.
I only have one Goodliest because that was all I could muster. I looked through a lot of headlines and could only find this one. It is Intel says it's bringing back free office coffee to boost morale after a rough year.
Wait, they didn't have free coffee? Is that there's a corporation that doesn't give their workers coffee? That's a thing?
I know. I think they probably have in their headquarters a cafe in the lobby that you had to go spend $3 to buy a cup of coffee. Yeah. And Intel takes probably 20% of that as part of their, that because they're renting that space out.
Everyone knows that I'm an idiot and I would be a terrible CEO. But the one thing I think I would do is give free energy boosters to my workers, right? Why would you not give them free coffee? I don't get that.
I love that headline. That free coffee is back to boost morale. Good. Imagine if you work at Intel and you're like, pumped. I'm underpaid, I'm overworked, I don't have childcare. They're making me come back to the free coffee.
Well, I will say,
finally,
I used to work at an S&P 500 company, and I will say that one of the things that we did argue about and complain a lot about was the quality of the coffee, the free coffee.
Yeah, because it's horrible.
But still, we did. It's something that we didn't talk about a lot, but we did talk about the coffee.
But you did drink it, right?
Oh,
you
all day long. All day long.
So at Intel, what have they been doing? They've been bringing thermoses? It's like,
I don't know. It's terrible.
Not great.
That is good news. All right.
So this is good news. Yeah. This is a stakeholder win. It's basically on par with Boeing's union win. That's basically what it's on par with.
All right, bring us down. Yeah. We're going to vote on this?
We got to vote. Our options are climate initiatives passing. Workers in Missouri get minimum a bump in minimum wage. Nissan's weird one. I'm not even gonna
No, okay.
Boeing strike ends and Intel's free coffee. What would you vote for?
I want to say free coffee, but isn't this one of your things about reversing stupidity? I mean,
it is a little bit.
They
but
never should have taken coffee away from those people.
I'm looking for something good. Just look for the good.
So I'm not going to go for that one. I'm going to go for the boring one, and I'm going to go for life-changing wage increase for the Boeing workers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go for climate initiatives. Farewell.
Okay,
That's
fine, good. We have a tie.
Right.
We have a good, healthy
We have a tie with nobody. Let's go on to my assholes of the week.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I did not do a lot this week. It was hard. It's been hard to motivate, right?
Okay, what do you got?
I mean, the first asshole of the week is America.
Well, not all of America. Let's be fair. I'm an American.
No, let's just say that we've done this already. We already did this once.
We did it, yeah.
We know what happened. The
pandemic
not great.
happened, yeah.
The pandemic happened. That was terrible.
We were drinking bleach, yeah.
I know everybody wants to talk about how the economy was gangbusters. No, Trump has nothing to do with the economy.
I don't remember that. I don't know if that was true, was it?
He was charging, he made everything more expensive by starting a trade war with China.
Yeah.
And rich got richer and the poor got poorer. I'm not sure exactly where in there it was great for everybody, but fine. We did this already. So America, you're a fucking asshole. You get it together.
I take objection to that. I'm not don't lump me in on that. How dare you?
Sorry, we're all lumped in.
Okay.
Number 2, and you already talked about this, so we won't have to go into depth on this. But CEOs.
Yeah. Let's not forget, before you get going, let's not forget that one of the world's most powerful and famous CEOs ever, Jamie Dimon, J.P. Morgan and Chase, he one of the few that we think was actually supporting Kamala Harris. He
not a few. There were a lot.
Okay, but he couldn't even say it out loud. That's the state
correct.
of the
He
world we're
couldn't say
living in. His wife was canvassing in Michigan. Good for her. She was knocking on doors. He was too much of a chicken to even say that and he says everything. We know he says everything all the time.
And it wasn't just him. Our folk hero Warren Buffett.
That's right. He refused as well. It's true.
Leather wearing, constant talker Jensen Huang at Nvidia. Oh, yeah. They stayed quiet. They didn't give an endorsement. They said nothing. They refused, and they have rallied for more than $12 billion to add it to their fortunes after the election.
Yeah.
I mean, there were Republican mega donors, the U-Lines, who we've talked about on the show before.
Wisconsin, I believe.
They were surveying their own employees to ask them who they were going to vote for.
Well, it worked.
Right?
Wisconsin went to Trump.
Which is like a not so subtle form of intimidation. Who's going to answer that survey and be like, I'm voting for the Libertarian?
I'd just be like, I love the free coffee. Thank you.
And then Jeff Bezos, the ultimate in idiot hypocrites.
Oh, I forgot about Bezos. Yeah.
Owns the Washington Post.
Wouldn't make he wouldn't make an endorsement. He stepped in, which publishers don't often do, and told his editorial board, which is ready to publish its endorsement, not to do that.
And I don't care if they don't endorse anyone ever again. I don't care if they endorse somebody. It was that they were 7 days away from the election with an endorsement written and about to hit the publish button, and he stepped in.
Well, the reason why I do care is that typically speaking, you let your editors make those decisions.
Well, that's the point, right?
Yeah.
His argument was journalism needs, people don't trust journalism anymore, and we need to be neutral about all this stuff. You know what's not neutral? When the owner walks into the room with all the professionals and says, by the way, you're not doing that because I don't want to.
Well, it's
right?
also
like that.
Yeah, it's also
that's the definition of interference.
It's also not neutral when you have social media / news enterprises like Twitter, not now called X, where they say that Elon Musk is responsible for well over 2 billion views about misinformation about the election.
Yes.
So
you're playing.
You're missing You're missing a bigger picture, Bezos. Yeah.
Good principled stand. Yeah. Meanwhile, the rest of the world, like Zuckerberg allows misinformation on his platform, Musk allows it on his. Like,
Zuckerberg
problem
stayed
is
quiet
it's-
during this election too, because remember Trump was threatening to put him in jail, basically.
That's right. Now they're they're besties. It
everyone's
probably was
besties.
because
Everyone's
he saw
besties.
Zuck wearing a shirt that says like Zuck, like didn't he write a shirt in like Latin that says
I don't care.
Zuck forever or something?
Yeah. Well,
so CEOs.
Zuck is right about that because he has all the control of that company. Yeah, CEOs.
And then my third option here is accountability.
Well, this is the one that concerns me the most.
This is the big one to me too. Look, it's not bad enough that we didn't vote in this country for a highly qualified, incredibly intelligent, incredibly capable black woman, a black South Asian woman.
So close. Yeah.
It is that the alternative was someone who's been convicted on 34 felony counts.
Yeah.
And that by itself
Just
isn't
one of the cases,
really like that. If that wasn't bad enough,
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
what we're talking about as part of like the next 4 years is effectively a gutting of environmental social governance data, proxy voting rights, shareholder rights. There's rumors that Vivek Ramaswamy is in contention for head of the SEC or head of
He doesn't have the attention
body.
span to handle that.
We're putting RFK Jr. in charge of health. We're putting, and these are people who, you want to talk meritocracy? Zero of them have the qualifications to run the things that they're going to be put in charge of. Mm-hmm. None of the people, the meritocracy is not real. And in a way, investors, this is a little bit, if not a lot bit, your fault. When we covered last week that the Ohio Attorney General and was suing on behalf of Ohio PERS, the pension fund, Boeing, for failure to do their job when it came to safety.
A lawsuit we support.
A lawsuit that I'm all about.
Yeah.
But simultaneously, the Ohio pension funds vote for the board, 100% unanimous votes, like every single director, including Calhoun, who was still on the board at the time. There's a disconnect between what you say and accountability, what you're doing. You are not holding anyone accountable to any standard. When we look at knowledge maps of boards and we realize that the people on the boards generally have no knowledge of the industries which they're overseeing, which I've been told by people is overrated. That they have the knowledge, that concept is overrated. It's not overrated to know what you're doing.
It's overrated that a board member has the appropriate knowledge to provide oversight of company X. That's what they're saying?
I'm telling you what I've been told. I've been told that like
overrated.
We've been told that the board does nothing anyway. We don't
overrated
care about
meaning that management is so firmly in control that it doesn't matter. Is that what they're saying?
Overrated in as much as that you need some general business skills and you need to understand like business strategy and that's all you need to make good strategic decisions about the business.
So why are we paying them so much money?
You're asking the right question because we covered in a proxy countdown on an hourly basis per meeting. Directors make as much as CEOs do. They just make it at an hourly basis.
They're already benefiting from this huge world of connections that's being opened up. Their Rolodex is multiplying when they take these board roles. So then why do we pay them? They don't need cash or equity.
I mean, forget paying them. Why would you pay? Would in any other circumstance in your life, when you're hiring for like a mid-office manager, would you say, you know what you know is not that important? It's who you know. We hung out the other day and had cigarettes. Like, it's fine. Just come in. Like, that's how you get Boeing, isn't it? Isn't it like 10 guys who are running a company at the highest levels who don't know how to build a fucking plane? They're not engineers. They're not like tech people. They're not, scientists. They have no knowledge. And that is what, like Trump and the election and all of these boards, that is what is the largest problem. And now we're going to have 4 years where, can you imagine a situation in which investors are going to vote out directors now? Like
Well,
there is no accountability. Accountability is dead.
I would
It's
like
dead.
to think that, typically as these elections go, look, I mean, if we pull back and look at the bigger historical picture, this is how elections have gone in America for several decades, right? Like they go back and forth between the parties, and this is just the way it is.
Sure.
There's an unhappy electorate. They pick the other side. I think most of the electorate doesn't even know anything about Trump or Harris. They're that out of it. But the problem is that usually when so if the Republicans win this time, then what you're hoping for is that the left will now spend a lot more of its efforts organizing to figure out how to deal with this. But in this limited world that you're speaking of, Matt, in the corporate world, corporate accountability, who takes that? Who is on that side of organizing to hold corporations responsible for anything? Like who is fighting on that side of things?
Forget because even when you're talking about the electorate, you're talking about the one position at the very top of the party. Do you know what the incumbent win rate is for the average election for senators, Congress, and this is global, like incumbent win rates. The incumbent win rate average is 95%.
Which is right in line with the vote for directors on corporate boards.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
We have deferred accountability because it's too hard.
There's just some
block.
allure. There's still some allure to the human species of once someone is in power, the allure is too great for them to go away from that, right? Like they're become a protected class. Like people just don't turn against power for whatever reason. We see that all the time in boardrooms, right? People, once they're appointed to the board by the companies, the investors just say, fine, okay, like they're in power, keep them in power.
It should shock us that or I guess maybe not shock us, but that the early 2024 results suggest that 98.5% of U.S. House members who are up for office, who are incumbents, were reelected.
Is that right?
90.9% of senatorial candidates.
Right.
In 2022, it was 100% of senatorial candidates. I mean,
and I guess this is nothing new in the sense that for whatever reason we're willing to go back and forth for president, right? The parties are they seem to swap every 8 years or so, but we don't. But like boards, we don't do any kind of maneuvering. We don't change. We just go with whoever's there. Well, I don't.
In the same way, we're willing to flip the CEO, and we think something's going to change.
That's true. Yeah,
you're willing
right.
to change the CEO, but you are not willing to change the people who are actually supposed to enable
and I don't know why this is.
Policies around that person.
This is the exact reason why I get constantly triggered by Yale professor Jeffrey Sonnenfeld, is that he spends every effort, it seems, in the media to basically kiss CEOs' butts, right? I mean, but he doesn't say anything about the boards. But you're right. Like I wonder, what is that alignment all about? Why is CEO turnover so high, just like presidential turnover? But why is it not the same in the Senate and the boardroom? I don't understand that. I mean,
the average CEO gets 6 years, and if you're a woman, you get more like 4, right? Like because you tend to be put in more
and that number's going
situations.
down, I think, overall.
And investors are impatient with their CEOs. The average director in the United States at a large cap company gets 14 years of collective tenure across multiple boards.
Right? I didn't know it was that
Meaning
high.
they don't, because the CEO may lose their job at one place, but they're often on the board someplace else and they don't lose that job.
Well,
and directors who are retired CEOs or just directors at that point, they hold multiple board positions over decades.
But you know what,
often
Matt?
Multiple decades.
There's also a more sinister thing going on, which I think inhibits some of what you're talking about, which is that CEOs now have a reason to leave companies early because their exit packages and then their golden hello packages for the next job are huge, and that is completely protected and enabled by those board members. So this is why probably you see these board members on several companies and they don't leave, because they are they are enabling this system, right, where the CEOs just get paid inordinate amounts of money constantly.
I feel like there's a lot of like Monday morning quarterbacking about why the election went the way it did, including the two of us in pre-production and me at home with my wife and all of our friends trying to figure out like what happened in this election, because
She
it
was the
seemed
wrong
like
sex.
there was a very obvious
Yeah,
choice.
she was a she.
If you are doing meritocracy, there's an obvious choice. Like,
Yeah.
But that Monday morning quarterbacking ignores the fact that whoever you elect to be the CEO, if you ignore everything else, we are incapable of actually measuring accountability structures around these people. We vote for the same people over and over again. Why? Because we recognize their name from the last time.
Yeah.
And investors may look at the electorate and say, the electorate is a bunch of idiots. The electorate doesn't know what they're doing. They have less information. But investors are the ones re-electing the accountability structures of publicly traded companies on an annual basis and making all of the same mistakes. We get told that it's too aggressive to vote against a director. It's socially unacceptable. We don't care about directors. Directors don't generate alpha. You know
They don't
what?
seem to matter anyway.
You know what they do? Know what they do? They protect your capital. Consider it insurance. And would you hire the exact same insurers when they fail to actually protect your capital?
Of course not.
You seem to do it over and over and over again at rates that are astronomically high. There's so much money voting for these same people to run the companies, rather than saying there is another way to do it. It is not different in the alternative democracy than the actual democracy. So
the parallels here are quite something, right? And this is why I think we're the only company that has moved away from just reporting simply on the percentage of women on the boards. We actually report on the power of the women on the boards, right? And this is why I don't lose focus on this horrible number of only 6% of women being CEOs. Is that exact thing is happening with our elected
everywhere.
officials? Exactly the same.
It's exactly the same.
Yes, there are more women in the House and in the Senate, but they clearly have no power to affect the top, right? I mean, there's no.
Also, if you keep electing, and I like Nancy Pelosi's great career, whatever. You're 84 years old. Like we don't want to. Nobody knew. There's no one new. And it's not just Nancy Pelosi. It's every one of them. You expect different outcomes with the same people every single time. You could flip the CEO. Great. The new CEO could come in. Like, we're looking at Boeing and we're talking about how, like Boeing is finally like nailed down the union strike. We changed the CEO. Meanwhile, half the board is exactly the same.
Right.
Like, why do we expect a different outcome for a company when you have the exact same accountability structures for the people who run the company? And investors keep electing them. And it's not investors, it's the American public too. We keep electing the same exact people and expect a new outcome. We're disappointed in Democrats because they didn't do what they say. Well, did you vote for the incumbent again for the 7th time? What are you complaining about? It's your choice. You're not holding anyone accountable. It drives me bananas, and to me, it's the underlying story of this. The flip to Trump is not nearly as interesting to me as the sort of slow, inevitable death of accountability, because we really don't care. No one seems to care. It drives me bananas.
Again, as I pointed out before, there is some bizarre allure to once you're in power, there's an allure to that power, right? We refuse. Whether it's with these corporate elections or regular old-fashioned democracy, we refuse to vote against people in power. That's just the way it is.
You know what? America investors, grow a spine and vote
let's move on.
your shares.
I agree
options.
with you. Accountability. Yeah, I'm going to vote.
You don't even need
it's
to
accountability.
Look at
It has to be accountability.
It has to be
It has
accountability.
to be.
All right,
again,
let's finish.
Move on. Yeah.
Let's finish the show with headlines and winners and predictions. Otherwise, my head's going to explode.
Yeah. I hate when these shows become political because that's not what we're here for. But I think we've done a pretty good job of bridging.
I don't view it as a political. It's like a social experiment.
To me, it's a leadership. It's about leadership.
It is about leadership, and it's
and
it's
accountability,
also
as you pointed out.
The pitfalls of sort of like how we think about what we know. The markets have a functional fixation on things being done in only one way, and the same thing is true of the electorate. Like, it's basically we only can think in one way. We keep putting the same people in charge. We put familiar faces. We're afraid of change. And that's true of investors who say they use all the information and they're willing to they're different, they're smarter and efficient markets and whatever, but they don't. They don't think about people and they don't think about strategy in a different way.
Let's get
what do you have
to
for
our
a headline?
Headline of the week. This is the one that made me. This one has some like subtext to it, which made me smile because I think it's cheekily referring to some of the tech bros like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. But here's the headline: Olivia Rodrigo. Do you know the music of Olivia Rodrigo?
A little bit, yeah. My kids like it.
Olivia Rodrigo says she would never date a man who wants to go to space.
Oh.
I know
she just ruled out actual astronauts.
Yeah, there's some, but I don't think she's talking about the astronauts.
I know.
Yeah. I think she's talking about the privileged class that spends their way into space, and I just appreciate that. I appreciate her, and I appreciate that.
I chose something literally like that has nothing to do with anything.
Good. We need a
because
break.
it gave me a break. Here was the headline: Police warn residents to lock down houses as dozens of monkeys escape research facility.
Why lock down? Are they gonna? What are they doing? What are the monkeys gonna do? Are they gonna come into your house? What?
Yeah,
use your toaster.
They've been training them to pick locks. And,
Where's this? Where is this?
And make
this is
coffee
in America?
at Intel. This is in South Carolina.
Wow.
There is a research company that has over 600 monkeys that they use for biomedical research.
I like this.
And they do
I think I'm on the monkeys' side on this one.
The funny part is this is the second time it's happened in the last 5 years, and the monkeys got out and they got them back last time. But this time, over 40 monkeys escaped. And they're like roaming somewhere in the area of South Carolina. The police are out with thermal imaging cameras, like looking around at trees, looking for like a monkey moving around.
Well, can they find Lindsey Graham too and lock him up?
Oh, that was political.
Okay, sorry.
But mine is definitely a better headline. So
who won the week?
Winner. I'm gonna say another totally inane thing.
Yeah, let's get off.
I like keeping this inane because I've been serious. Cloned ferrets won the week.
I don't know what that means.
Ferrets who
I barely know what a ferret is. It's a very long rat. Is that what a ferret is?
Yeah.
It's a tubular rat. A cylindrical rat.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
Okay.
A cloned endangered ferret, these are black-footed ferrets, gives birth to healthy offspring.
It's funny, when I saw that headline, I thought it said wealthy offspring. I was like, great, there are Nepo ferrets now? Nepo baby ferrets?
This is the first time that a species that was cloned from genetic material by humans. In fact, the genetic material is 35 years old. They made ferrets
Jurassic
out
Park
of
style,
35-year-old DNA from black-footed ferrets. They made multiple ferrets, and
I don't know how I feel
it.
about this one.
They made it.
Look,
they're the winner. It's not how you feel.
You smartly did not put that in Goodliest. I think you're right. They are the winner, though.
They are the winner.
Yeah.
If you're a cloned ferret, not only did you get to have sex, but you have babies, and you were from DNA 35 years ago.
Mine's a bit more serious. I want to honor these two black women who won Senate seats, Angela also Brooks and Lisa Blunt Rochester. They're representing Maryland and Delaware. This is the first time in history. I know it's going to sound sad, but whatever. I'm going to honor it anyway. This is the first time that there will be two black women in the Senate. Again, a sad, paltry number, but hey, it's something. It's something.
Wait. Two black women in the Senate has never happened before?
There have only been 12 black people ever to have served in the Senate, ever. And 3 of them were women, ever. So never before in the history of our country have there been 2 women. So I'm taking this as a win. I'm psyched about it. I got to find some glory somewhere. And of course,
that is sad.
Of course, it's here in the East, Northeast, Delaware, and Maryland. So it wouldn't be anywhere else, I guess.
Well, my prediction is going to counteract that. So go ahead. What's your prediction?
My prediction is pretty simple. I'll let you wrap up the show. Mine's very simple. Is that I think I'm going to be feeling kind of down and depressed for a while.
Oh, well, let's see.
Might be the first prediction I ever get right? This might be my first one.
Let's see what the buzzer says. Let's see what the buzzer... That's correct.
Yeah,
it says
I finally got
correct.
something right. Yeah.
All right, my prediction. Let's get this show off of the show. there was a Trump trade that everybody made a lot of money on. Stocks, Bitcoin,
Macho
Tesla
stocks,
shares,
macho shit.
stocks, right?
Yeah.
A lot of Caterpillar.
Oil.
I actually, my prediction is that the white man trade is what begins next.
What's that?
Investors are going to start targeting black women on boards and voting them out.
That'll be the one cohort they actually vote out.
That we're going to see an increased.
Matt, why end the show on this? You went right from my two black women in the Senate for the first time ever
That's what
to
I'm
that.
saying. I said it was going to counteract. Look,
All right,
we
let's
know
end this. Let's end
if
this.
Vivek Ramaswamy becomes the head of the SEC, that's what he did at Strive. They voted against women 2-1. That's it for the show. It's a real uplifting show. That's
we'll try to
Hazelnut
reorganize next week and get back to this is what we do.
More of this.
Yeah,
I'm your
okay.
AnalystHole Matt Moscardi. We are free
This is what
flow.
fighting for accountability sounds like, people. I'm sorry. Get over it.
Yeah, you got to get angry. So if you didn't catch our Proxy Countdown show, that's because I'm releasing it today. I talked to Sung Hyun Lee, who is an activist investor, and we're talking about KT&G, a Korean company that he's investing in. But mostly what we talked about is how to think about boards and targeting and stuff like that. He's an interesting cat. But we also released a shareholder primacy, which featured me. I was on the show this week.
Yeah, you're
That's
ruining
a lot of
everyone's
me.
life. Yeah.
It's a lot of me this week. So go get that. Until next week, goodbye.